This is S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Good evening or morning, depending on where you are, and welcome to S4, the dark voice of the paranormal and conspiracy, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains of eastern Skagit County in Washington State. S4 is the voice where you will hear everything covering all aspects of the paranormal, from hauntings and alien interaction, Bigfoot and other cryptids, and everything in between that makes you question reality. We also cover topics for safety, such as disaster and terrorist response and preparation, and veterans issues on Memorial and Veterans Days. Not only can you find S4 right here on Spreaker, but for our local listeners, also on KSVU 90.1 FM from 10 to 12 on Saturdays with pre-recorded shows. So, tonight, it's the 20th of December, the end of the year. We'll be discussing the predictions for 2020 and some of the changes coming to S4 coming into 2020, as yes, there's plenty of them, and some of you will be actually happy with the changes. So tonight with us we have Cole Wegleitner, our co-host, Don Davidson, our California consultant, and William Poland, UFO historian. How are we doing tonight, guys?
Perfect.
Good, sir.
Wonderful.
Outstanding. How's the weather in California, Don?
Cold but dry. We're not experiencing as much rain as we had been in the past, so it's nice.
Well,
okay, when you say cold, is it California cold or Washington cold?
It's about 40 to 50 degrees on average during the day, and about drops down to 30 at night.
Oh, dude, that's
that's
cold.
about the same. But that's about the same as we are right now.
It's been in the 40s during the day and down to about 30s at night.
Yeah.
But, compared to last year, we had 2 feet of snow. This is very warm. I remember last year at this time, it was 2 feet of snow in my yard. My expedition was stuck in the driveway. So, I can't complain a whole lot. So, what's it like in Texas, Will?
Oh, it's typical Texas winter. We've had 3 days where it actually reached 32 degrees. So it never really gets cold here. Not at all. Typical warm weather.
The last time I went through Texas, oh God, let's see, Anthony was 1, so that would have been, 2014?
Huh.
No. 2013.
I look a little too Mexican to go through Texas, I think. I'm native, but I don't trust
Dude,
you.
they would snatch you up and take you across the border. And not the northern one.
Mexico wouldn't let me back either.
I know. But I just remember crossing because we were driving from Alabama back to Washington, and we went through Texas on I-10. And, we're driving, it's dark, it's like midnight, we went through snow. We see a sign that says, welcome to Oklahoma. And we're like, oh shit, we're out of Texas. And then, 45 minutes later, welcome to Texas. I'm like, what the fuck? Hey, no.
Yeah.
No, we left Texas. Come on. No. It reminds me of Montana where it takes 5 days to drive through the damn state.
Yeah.
Well, we have an island like that here. So there is a part of Washington that in order to get to, you actually have to cross the border into Canada and then come back into the United States.
Yeah, but that doesn't take 5 days.
That's true.
Yeah. True.
And we won't even talk about California. If you go the long way, no, that takes too long.
Oh, God. No.
What's the long way?
north to south.
Oh,
That's a long state.
I went straight to weed and never left. Like, that's as far as I got.
And I've got a scary prediction about California and Washington from Nostradamus, actually, for the 2020.
Really?
And I think Nostradamus's predictions are what, 50-50, or they're a little bit higher than that, because he actually predicted 9/11 and quite a few of the other significant ones. And we'll get to Nostradamus later in the show, but he actually says we're going to have one hell of an earthquake.
Well, with what's happened up here in the last 2 weeks, I wouldn't be surprised.
2020 is not even quite, it's still 2 more days to go, but before we hit 2020, but it's a long year. So is it going to happen in the beginning or the end? And are we talking San Andreas Fault in California? But if he talks about Canada, that tells me the Cascadia subduction zone.
Yeah,
And that's,
we just had like 4 mini quakes in a day
ooh,
in just off the Vancouver Island, and it was like 3.4 to 4.5s, and then we had a major 6.8.
oh, I don't want to hear
the
that
coast.
shit. Because so my predictions, and I'm not talking Nostradamus, I'm talking USGS and the scientists. It's going to be a 9.0.
Well, and that's the thing. They're saying it's not just us. The entire ring is activating.
Oh,
The
that
ring
ain't
of
good.
fire.
No, that's the cold predictions, and I don't go by the cold predictions. Shut up. Shut up.
Well, no, because like Japan had one, and another Asian country had another earthquake just a little while ago as well.
So, going by the disaster side with Nostradamus, he also talks about Yellowstone starting to wake up, and well, we don't have to worry about ISIS and the terrorists. Just take a look at Mother Nature, and she's pissed off. So,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it's not our fault.
Well, no, but we're fleas.
We're old enough now. I blame my kids.
Oh, so
It's their fault now.
we're going to start off with what's happening with S4. So S4, you're going to hear us kicking back a lot more. Yeah, we're basically taking the explicit part literal. We're not going to watch our language. We're not going to watch our opinions, because our opinions are basically going to be the brunt of the show. We're going to take current events that are going on, both in the paranormal and in the real world, without getting into angry political rants, because, well, frankly, I'm sick of political rants. I get them every fucking day.
Okay, but it's going to come up. We are coming into an election year. There's no way we can avoid this shit.
I know it. You know what pisses me off about the whole Republican-Democrat fights? I won't even say arguments, I'll say fights. Is both sides are corrupt. Both of them. It's both of them.
I got a question.
What?
So I would have to imagine it was Eisenhower that made that deal, that supposedly made that deal, right, with the aliens.
Yeah.
So you would think when he made that deal, part of the deal was no U.S. president could be abducted. They weren't allowed to touch the president.
Do you think Trump was abducted and a replacement was put here?
No, but how long do you think that contract lasts?
So, according to the, oh God, help me out here, William, what's the name of the contract? The regatta?
Oh, something to that effect. You know, I don't buy the story, but it's interesting. I mean,
well, I believe it was either 2019 or 2020 that contract is over. So
yeah,
with
that's what I've heard about that. Yeah.
So with that, are we going to see a rise in abductions? What do you think?
You know, I don't know, because I mean, I wonder what percentage of sightings are not reported at all.
Right.
I don't know. We've always had the impression as investigators that most sightings don't get reported, whether you're talking about a light in the sky or an abduction or what have you. So it's hard to tell whether sightings or abductions or whatever you're talking about, whether those are actually increasing or decreasing. It's hard to tell. So it's hard to investigate UFOs because of that. It's like it's trying to examine a problem without having all the data available. It's very troublesome, to say the least.
And that's the problem. I'd say about 80% of our sightings aren't reported. I mean, me and myself, I've had 5 sightings of my own, and I've never reported them to any agency.
You might be right. It might be that high. I don't know if it's that high, but it's more than half, clearly.
Yeah,
I would say so, because you got to consider how many people aren't in the UFO community and do see something, but they just knock it off as shooting star.
Well,
that's part of the equation too. Yeah.
That and the other side of it is to get ridiculed and seen as a crazy person for seeing them anyway. 2019 was a great year for exposure, not disclosure, because I don't think there's ever going to be disclosure. I've said that kind of from the beginning. I was kind of hopeful in 2018 and 2019, but it never really happened. But yeah, again, 80% might be high, but I think the best reporting center that's out there right now is New Fork, and that's what Peter Davenport. And going by his numbers, he gets sightings daily, but he doesn't get them posted right away, so you can't really tell, when the sighting happened.
Yeah, I trust his numbers more than MUFON.
Oh, definitely. MUFON doesn't release them.
Yeah, Davenport his integrity is without question. MUFON, there's issues there, so I don't quite trust their conclusions or their numbers. But I'm with you. I mean, you might be right. It might be 80%. We just don't know. But certainly, majority aren't reported. And as far as disclosure, I'm with you. I just don't think the military or the government has any motivation to tell us what they know. And I've always thought that maybe because they don't know themselves. They may have more data because they have better equipment to cite these things, to find out what's going on. But they don't have any answers either. So I think they're aware of it, but they really don't know what's going on. And I just don't think they'll ever tell us what they have as far as evidence. Bodies or a craft or whatever. I don't think that'll ever happen.
So you post in FMP, Fourth Moon Paranormal, almost daily. But for our listeners that aren't in Fourth Moon Paranormal or familiar with you've been studying the UFO field since the 80s, correct?
Yes, it's about 88, 89, yeah.
And do you have a website they can go to?
All my work is on Facebook. You can find me at William Pullen UFO Historian. That's my Facebook page. My group is entitled U for Real, a Historical Review. That's where I do my more objective work, where I just present cases or do a book review or post a interview that's interesting or of note. My blog page, the historian blog page, is more about my personal opinions about not just the UFO topic, but the community at large, which need to be addressed too. I mean, we're spending time investigating the phenomenon, but there's enough issues in the community that they need to be addressed too.
Yeah.
I go back to MUFON and the other groups that aren't working together. There's a whole list of issues that need to be addressed, and so that's where I do all my work.
So, looking back in 2019, is there any books in the UFO community that came out that really ping in your head that you could point people to relating to UFOs?
This year I would say no. I mean, there's the majority of UFO books tend to rehash old cases.
Okay. Whether
it's Socorro or New Mexico, or Roswell or what have you, they tend to look back at the past, and that may be a reflection of investigations overall. I mean, right. If you go to different websites, they're always looking back. I'm always interested in looking forward. It's important to know the history, but we want new data. We want new sightings, and I really didn't see any books released this year that looked at, shall we say, recent cases. within the last 5 years? I can't think of one.
But why is that? I mean, we've had some phenomenal cases in the last 5-10 years. Why are they rehashing old cases when there's new cases that, are CE 3s and 4s, even 2s, that they can write about?
I wish I really knew. I mean, I think part of it is because different groups don't share data. There's not really an overall database. I wish there was. I wish there was one place where all the sighting data was put into, one overall database. We never had that.
I would say I disagree with that. There is one place that does provide every ounce of data that they have to a point.
What's that?
Yeah.
The U.S. government, when they declassify any of the files, that's why they are rehashing those old cases, because the best reporting service is still the U.S. government. When they release the files on, what would be an example?
Black Vault. Black Vault's a great resource for people to go to for FOIA information.
Yeah.
Like any of the case files that they have released, that's the best information we honestly have on any case.
Yeah,
and that's true, but I don't know if it's all the information.
I can guarantee you it's not all the information.
Yeah.
Because even when it comes to non-UFO cases, they don't give you all the information.
Yeah, and you're right. The Black Vault's a great resource. There's a few groups out there that post all their data, but not all of them. So if they would all share the data and put it into one resource, that'd be great. But we're stuck with a few groups are very open and publish everything, but most don't, and that's it's painful to think about that. I mean, we can't examine a problem thoroughly without all the data.
Right.
We can't do that, and right now we don't have access to all that. We don't. And what the government and military releases, a lot of it is redacted. So we're getting snippets. We're not getting the whole picture. So we're still stuck in the same boat we've been in since, I guess, the 40s, really.
And I still remember last year's New Year's show, and it never came to fruition because we just couldn't find the technical people to bring it about. But we were actually trying to push for a real time. So we have in the disaster community, we have Arso Edis. Arso Edis, I get pop-ups every time there's an earthquake, every time there's a terrorist attack, every time there's a bio attack, every time there's a volcano going off in real time around the world. And that's something that would benefit the paranormal community as a whole. You have something going on, you ping it into the Arso Edis of the paranormal world. Then if you have somebody local to it, they respond. And even if nobody responds to it, everybody knows, oh shit, there was an abduction in New York. Or, oh my God, there was a UFO sighting in New Zealand, in real time. But getting the technical analysts together to put this kind of a program, available became impossible because everyone, regardless of the cost of something like that being available, they wanted to make a profit off it. And I get that. People want money. But, the paranormal community overall ain't rich. So,
no, not at all.
Funding for something like that would just be out of the question. But
you're right.
When you're talking about real time evidence, that's what's needed.
Yeah. So when you have a sighting, it's reported and shared with other researchers quickly instead of months or years after the fact.
Exactly. But looking at historical cases, how many? I've studied UFOs since '94, and there's countless cases where the government had radar returns, where there were army bases that had UFOs over missile silos that actually knocked the power out. I mean, there's enough hard documented evidence on the government side to, there's no question it really happens. Does it happen today? I'm sure it does.
I would think it was. Yeah, sure it does. Yeah, I think that there's no reason to think it doesn't. No, I mean, there's, like you said, there's gray cases out there, radar visual cases where there's documentation where trained observers, military personnel, have sighted things they can identify. So we've got confirmation that's going on. There's no reason to think it has stopped. I can safely assume this is still going on. Mm. Would the military be open to sharing that information? Most likely not.
No.
So, but the idea that these things are not happening today, I think that's unreasonable. I think we can safely assume it's continued to this day. So, and a lot of those historical cases, we didn't find out about them until decades after the fact. So whatever's happening now, we may not learn about till next decade or the decade after that. So,
right.
Yeah, we'll see what the future holds. Yeah.
I don't know. I think once the Civil War starts, that's where I'm going first.
Where?
Wherever they keep that documentation.
That would be in the Pentagon.
If we break out in Civil War, they're not going to keep guarding that stuff.
Well,
they have more important things to worry about. Yeah.
Right. So, Don, what do you think about all this? You've been quiet over there in California.
No, I want disclosure. I want what we already know out there, but I know it's not going to happen. I kind of agree that if there was a civil war, they would stop guarding it. So I'm kind of on the board of another civil war. But yeah, or they might guard it even further, or more so. But
so
I'm not too familiar with MUFON and all them. So it's I'm kind of taking this as a learning experience.
Oh, we haven't even talked about MUFON yet. I got to ask you though, as a soldier, what do you think is the purpose of a space force? And don't say lightsabers.
No, I won't take that joke. I think the purpose would be to spy on other countries.
You know, the minute he brought up Space Force, which was 2 years ago, is when he first mentioned it. I automatically thought of Starship Troopers.
What weirded me out was it wasn't him. It wasn't Trump that announced it. It was Pence. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. That is a new branch of a government-funded agency. You'd think that would be brought up by the president, not the vice.
Well, no, because he didn't want that money going to a Space Force. He wanted that money going to a damn wall.
Yeah, but you're right. It was very interesting. It wasn't Trump himself that brought it up.
Yeah,
that was like that raised a red flags. Like, why is Pence initiating the narrative instead of Trump?
Yeah, it's a huge event, honestly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
and the fact that they felt that it wasn't important enough, the fact that Trump let Pence do it, considering how much he loves recognition.
Well, maybe he
That's
didn't.
Very true.
Maybe he didn't let Pence do it. Pence did it on his own.
Oh, could you imagine that conversation the next day?
That's why I love to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
So, when I raised the issue 2 years ago about why do we need a Space Force, I had some people saying, well, it's to pick up space garbage before it hits the Earth. Really? So we have a glorified space police call going on. And for civilians that don't know what a police call is when soldiers go pick up the trash in the command sergeant major's yard and whatnot. They're trash picker-uppers. and you should do that every morning. But yeah, so what? We have a glorified police call for space picking up space garbage? I don't think so. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. It wouldn't be their own unit, have their own unit designator. And I believe they're a branch of the Air Force, are they not?
No.
No?
They are a separate branch from all three.
Yeah.
So, what would be the purpose? We have psyops. We have our own intelligence communities that have satellite access and whatnot for spying on other countries. So that part doesn't make sense to me either.
Well, if you think about it, considering how much we don't know what the government knows, we might not know their purpose till we have to.
And that's when the alien invasion comes.
That's honestly what the only reason we don't know would be that.
Okay.
We know why the Army exists. We know why the Air Force exists. We know why the Navy exists. And why wouldn't they release why they are actually starting a Space Force?
So let's take a step back. Knowing that we have alien races that are here all the time, have their own technologies, do we really think humans have the technology to beat alien races?
No, I would think, of course not. No, we can safely assume they're more technologically advanced than we are.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah, so we have a space force and we're attempting to defend ourselves against an extraterrestrial species. That would be like, natives in Africa attacking us with bows and arrows, and we have guns. I mean, it would be almost a waste of time. But there are threats here on Earth.
Yeah.
So
Boeing did its first unmanned rocket launch, and it didn't even make it to its destination. Come on.
Wait, Boeing. Didn't we talk about that last week? Boeing just launched their first rocket.
No, we talked. Well, yeah, but we weren't on the air.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we talk all the time. So Boeing launched their first dummy-manned rocket that was supposed to, Arsoides. Here's a tropical storm activity. Anyway, so, and has it made it to the space station yet? Do we know?
I don't think so. They
I
have
don't
not
know.
announced anything, which tells me no, because they only announce good news.
Yeah,
they announce bad news when they have to.
That means their Christmas presents are going to be late again.
If they get there.
Indeed.
It's so the rocket's in orbit, but it can't make it to the space station, the ISS, because one of its boosters will not fire.
Oh, that's right. You told me that. You haven't told the listeners that yet, though.
Yeah.
So
this whole narrative about a space force has been out there for a while. I mean, when Reagan initiated the Star Wars program, there's been a push to militarize space in a public way. But space has been militarized since the 60s. The military has always had a bigger budget than NASA ever had. So there's always been a military effort in space. But now they're just being more vocal about it. They're talking about it as a public eye. It's more direct the way to talk about it. But it seems like that, at least to me, the majority of threats, or the threats that I see, are from other countries. So it does make sense to be able to protect ourselves. But the intelligence community has innumerable satellites to be able to watch those things. Do we need another space force to counteract another country's space force? I don't know. It's an open question, at the very least.
So it makes you wonder if China, for example, already has a space force and like you said, Cole, there's reasons we need it that we don't know about, like another country that's already got one. So that's kind of a scary thought. We're going to have a war in space, and we're going to have all this debris and missiles and shit dropping on us.
I don't think it'd be missiles.
Blood?
Well, no, if you think about it from a budget point of view, how much space junk is surrounding the Earth right now?
Oh, tons of debris.
Yeah.
All they have to
Tons
do
of
is
debris.
go up there and start sending it down.
Yeah, there's lots of large chunks of spent rockets that would make it to the surface. Yeah.
And most of
A lot of
those would
stuff.
do a lot more damage than an actual missile.
Right.
Because a missile, you hit it and it explodes itself. A lot of that, you hit it, it doesn't explode itself. It's already out of fuel. Half those satellites have no fuel in them, so they wouldn't explode enough that they would just disintegrate. They would explode enough that they would cause massive damage to a small area.
Yeah.
So once they're in the atmosphere, you can't really do anything about them. It's almost better to let them hit as one big chunk than thousands of smaller ones.
I still think of Starship Troopers. I just like that concept.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other possibility. Within 10 years, we're supposed to be in Mars.
Oh, we ain't welcome on Mars. Good luck with that one.
But if they try and go, they do need a militarized unit to go with them.
So, are we going to try to colonize? I guess that'd be the next question.
That's Elon Musk's plan.
And Elon Musk is with To the Stars Academy, is he not?
No, he's Tesla.
Wasn't Elon Musk with To the Stars originally, Will?
I don't know. That idea's been out there. That rumor's been out there, but I've never heard directly from him or the To the Stars to confirm that. So he might have been, but I really don't know. It kind of makes sense he would have been, at least on some level, but I don't know it's kind of guesswork, you know.
Right.
I don't see him joining that or being part of that even from the beginning, because I don't see him giving up control of something like that.
Okay.
That's a good point.
He's
Yeah.
rich.
Yeah.
I just remember hearing the name Elon Musk about the same time in the news all the time with To the Stars Academy. So,
And they might have been approaching each other for ideas, but I don't think he would have been a member.
okay.
Because he also has to think about his other business. Like Tesla is a huge business right now. He can't be really involved with that kind of stuff.
Right.
Going to Mars is one thing. Trying to colonize, that's a totally different thing than trying to find aliens.
True.
Yeah.
All right, so staying on track here, so where is S4 going? So you can expect more guests, because we are going to reach out a lot more, and it goes with our other plan, because, being a late night show like we are, so on TV you had, like Izzy compared us, you got David Letterman, who was, late night, but then you got, oh God, what's his name? Cole?
Craig Ferguson is who she said, but
he was like the late night show. Well, I don't
so
like
Izzy hasn't watched late night TV in 10 years, obviously.
I know it. But we used to watch Craig Ferguson all the damn time. I don't like being the late night show anymore, so we're going to move, starting February, to Sunday nights from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. That way some of you listeners out there that listen to the archives, because while you're sleeping right about now, you can actually listen to the show live. You can
That
still
move
listen
is
to the
happening February 2nd. February 2nd is that move.
Exactly. February 2nd, we are moving to Sundays. That gives you a month to get adjusted. And then, we'll keep talking about it every show between now and then through January. And then, February 2nd, we're going Sundays from 7 to 10. You can expect more sponsors, because we're going to be reaching out to a lot more businesses. And trying to get more sponsors out here.
I also understand that a lot of people won't be listening to that first show. It's going to happen. We can't help it. It is the first week. But it's also Super Bowl. So in the United States, there won't be a lot of listeners. I get that.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
We'll give a during the break we'll give a play-by-play.
Absolutely. Honestly, if the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl, I will be watching while we're on the air.
Right.
If the game is still on.
So you're going to hear the game in the background, but yeah. So we're going to cover all things paranormal, obviously, but also current events as well as world major events. You're going to have more disaster prep, terrorist response, and things that will affect you globally as well as locally. And we're still going to be on KSVU every Saturday from 10 to 12 with the pre-recorded shows, but we're going to talk a lot. We have global listeners. Like we still have wildfires going on in Australia. We know about all that. So when we talk about disaster response, disasters are disasters whether you're in Australia or United States or New Zealand or wherever. And so the response is always going to be the same. So you can also look for S4 at the Skagit County Fair. You can look for us at paranormal events in Washington State because we'll be reaching out and setting up S4 booths. You can still get your little aliens and bumper stickers and keychains and whatnot. And how's our Patreon looking, Cole?
It's looking pretty good. We've got a lot of good stuff on there. A lot of stuff coming up. So get yourself signed up and get yourself on there. Also, just so everyone knows, our Spreaker account is also monetized. So if you can't afford to support us with through an app like that, like Patreon or anything like that, go ahead and just listen to all of the back episodes. Every time you listen and listen to the ads that are on Spreaker with it, we do get a small amount of money for that. So make sure you go through those archives and keep listening to us.
And if you want to be on the show as a guest, if you have ideas for topics, shoot me an email at eastcountyrescue@yahoo.com. That is my new email. I use that for Red Cross. I use that for disaster type stuff. But it's easy enough. It's a hell of a lot easier for me to say eastcountyrescue@yahoo.com than my other email. So,
and we will list that email also as well on the S4 page on Facebook.
There you go. And as some of you noticed, Cole got us a new intro. We'll be working on new commercials, more intros, things of that nature. We'll be changing the intro to reflect Sunday, 7 to 10 p.m. So we're going to get back to UFOs here shortly. But I've always found Nostradamus interesting.
Joe's having a problem hearing us, so if you got our volumes, if they're not all the way up, can you turn them up?
The volumes are in the red.
Are they?
Yep.
All right, Joe, you got to check your computer. It might be yours or your phone, whatever you're on. And welcome, Joe. We missed you. Merry Christmas.
And happy in 2 days. We go to the casino.
Absolutely.
No place like the casino to welcome in the new year. What are you doing for New Year's, William?
Probably staying home. Staying home where it's safe. Yeah, there's a lot of parties that go on in San Antonio, but I'm not the big. I'm not much for going out late at night and getting surrounded by drunk people. Not a big fan.
Just so you know, if you start Forrest Gump at home at 10:34:56, like that at that time, you can ring in the new year with Lieutenant Dan.
Good man. Oh, good to know.
So what are you doing in California, Don?
I'm probably gonna go to a friend's house and chill out there and hunker down, just ready for the fireworks to go off.
Yeah, I hear you. We already have fireworks
going
off here.
Fireworks are not really fireworks.
Right. So actually, so again,
the casino we're going to is a native casino, so we're going to see some of that as we pull up. But we'll be inside by the time they start going off. So, by the time they really start going off.
And So with that, yeah, crowds do bother me, but I can always step outside and get away from the crowds if I need to. I take medication. Medication helps a whole lot. So, Nostradamus made these predictions in 1555, I believe it was. And he predicted 9/11. He's a hit and miss. So I always take his predictions with a grain of salt. You know, he predicted, for our UK listeners, he predicted that Queen Elizabeth would die in 2020 and would be succeeded by Prince Charles. So I'm curious if that pans out.
You can't.
You can't?
Charles can't take the throne.
That's just the predictions I read.
William is the next in line for the throne now.
Oh, it's probably Prince William. I don't know. One of them princes. I have no clue. I don't keep track of royalty. Do you?
Well, yeah. If everyone in England dies, I am like 10,000th in line for the throne. I'm from Canada.
He's from Canada, so yeah, he would track that. And I can't remember which one it was, whether it was Charles or William, but one of them actually joined the Royal Army and went to Afghanistan. You remember that, Don?
Yeah, I heard about that. I remember, I think it was right around the time we were there.
It was.
William's brother.
It was in 04-05. He actually went to Afghanistan when we were in Iraq. And
it was William's younger brother.
They got pissed off because he was a threat. And, you know, I completely understand that, but I can also completely respect the man for joining the military and going, because you didn't see President Bush's daughters joining the military, and they were of legal age.
But would you really want to be in his company? Would you want to be right beside him in the truck? Because he's a target.
Bush's daughters? No.
No,
I know who you're talking about. I know.
Yeah. He's always a target anytime he leaves the base. So you're sitting there thinking, oh, great.
Right.
They're not just going to get him.
Yeah, but they're not going to kill us. They're going to try to abduct him because he's worth more alive than he is dead. Just saying.
Yes and no, because he's never going to get the throne. He can't.
Yeah, but the ransom they could get?
Because when he went to war, the only reason the royal family allowed it was because his William had a son already.
Okay. I just remember hearing about it and going, hell yeah. So where the hell's Bush's daughters? Where the hell's all the congressmen and Senate and all the politicians who have kids that are of legal military age? Where are they? You won't see them. They don't join the military.
Do you not remember the news from back then?
What?
Bush's daughters were trying to hit every bar in America, trying to collect every disease they could. Okay?
I remember that.
That's where they were.
We were sitting in Iraq watching the news going, really? Seriously? They got a DUI and they're not old enough to drink? Seriously? Yeah. That's our commander-in-chief. Woohoo! I can't imagine what they're saying now, but yeah. Oh, yeah.
That is one thing I will say for Trump. None of his kids have gotten any serious trouble.
Really?
Have they?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
I mean, I don't have nothing in front of me, so yeah. But
I never saw anything like drug-related or drinking-related.
No, so on that side of it, no, I haven't. And I think he has one son that is a minor, and we won't talk about him because I don't talk bad about minors. But I don't think he's been in any trouble.
No, and from everything I have heard, he's actually a pretty good kid.
Yeah.
That honestly. Because usually, at that young of an age, if there is something going on, because it happens with senators and
you would hear
different
about
guys. Yeah, and like you hear about bullying in school, that kind of thing. Nothing.
Okay, so the first big prediction, and this is going to affect you, Don.
Oh yeah.
Is the big major earthquake between California and Canada. Now, if it's between California and Canada, and like we were talking earlier, I'd have to say it's like a Cascadia subduction zone, which is off, I believe, the Vancouver Island, is it not? It's in the Strait of Juan Fuca area.
Yeah, but it's us.
Yeah. It's going to affect the whole West Coast.
Vancouver Island to Oregon.
Yeah. So that is going to be, according to scientists' predictions, a 9.0. So for those of us living upriver, by the time it ripples to us, it'll probably be down to maybe a 5 or 6. Maybe. So what do I have to worry about up here? I would say the dams. Along with the earthquakes. And is it going to trigger Mount Baker and Glacier Peak?
I'd be more worried about that.
Yeah. So, if the predictions happen, again, they're always predictions. And do we do this to strike fear in you? No, we're going to give you some ideas towards the end of the show, last hour, of how we can prepare for possible predictions in 2020. So, extremism rises in the Middle East. Oh, there's a no-brainer. You don't need a prediction for that one.
How's it going to rise?
Huh?
How's it going to rise?
I don't know.
Like, it's there already. It's been there. They're just going to do the same shit. Like, other than maybe more goats will be involved.
I find it funny. All these predictions happen in, 1555? How did you know they were going to rise? It kills me. I read on my, Facebook news feed that glorified Trump and said, he's killed ISIS. Like, really? ISIS is dead?
Well, 1555, weren't they already fighting then? In the Middle East?
Oh, the Middle East has been fighting since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that one, I gotta say, that could have went either way, but it was a 50-50 chance.
Right. That's a no-brainer. But according to predictions, it's going to flood in Italy, the Czech Republic, and Great Britain. And terrorism is going to rise in Europe. There's going to be advancements in science. That's all said. It wasn't specific. And then the apocalyptic war begins in 2020 and lasts until 2046. So he actually predicts World War III. And I didn't even bring up the comet. Oh.
But an apocalyptic war.
Yeah.
So in order for something to be considered apocalyptic, it has to take away over 50% of the population. That is what is required.
Right.
Reading into that.
Okay.
If you look at the 80s and 90s, they took the word war and they changed the meaning of it. Wars aren't just people against people now. We have wars on drugs. We have wars on crime. We have wars on all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So that prediction might not be of actual war. What if it's a war on a disease? I mean, they reached down into the depths of Antarctica and pulled out bubonic plague.
Now, you take the word apocalyptic out of it, there's a lot of people that are predicting civil war. Are we going to have a civil war in 2020? There's a damn good chance. I've said it before. This nation is screwed because if Trump wins, there's going to be riots. There's going to be violence. There's going to be all kinds of attacks. If Trump loses, there's going to be riots. There's going to be violence. Our whole political system is so tainted and screwed right now. Nobody believes anything that goes on. How do we fix that? What do you think about that, William?
It seems to be, if we can each change as individuals. I mean, you know, we have our political leaders, our elected officials acting in certain ways. Well, part of the fault lies with us because we voted them in. And I'm generalizing the public,
right?
Which I guess I shouldn't, but you know, I mean, the American voting public, if they're upset that Trump is in office, well, he didn't get there by himself. He was voted in. So it starts with the voters. It starts with each individual person making some changes to better the country, and that's where the country started. It didn't start from the top down. It started from the bottom up, and that's if the country is going to reorganize and get back to where it needs to be and better itself, it needs to start from the bottom. It needs to be a grassroots deal, I would think. To get us, you know.
I would agree with that. And I think what screwed a lot, too, was the Democratic Party, when they put Hillary in, when Bernie was actually winning, but he got screwed or threatened or whatever. I think Bernie would have won. But the DNC put Hillary in because they thought she would win. That was a stupid mistake on their part. And so then you've got the Hillary haters who weren't going to vote her in, so they voted for Trump. Personally, I voted for Stein. I wasn't going to vote for either one of them. But, you know, the Democrats screwed themselves. And you're right. It started from the bottom up. Absolutely.
No.
So with Trump, according to Nostradamus, and obviously he didn't say President Trump, he spoke of the two great leaders, which was Putin, the bear, and let's see, actually the quatrain verbatim says, "In the city of God there will be a great thunder. Two brothers are torn apart by chaos while the fortress endures. The great leader will succumb. The third big war will begin when the big city is burning." So according to some predictions, Putin is going to have an assassination attempt by his own security team. It's going to come from within. And Trump is going to get some rare illness, disease that's going to cause tinnitus or hearing loss. I'm curious if that's going to pan out.
Okay, but everyone is so concentrated on Trump and what's going on there, including other countries. There's major events happening across the world right now. Britain is leaving the EU. That is a huge thing.
Are they?
So as of right now, if a withdrawal agreement is not approved by 31st of January of this next year, they leave with no deal. So like there'll be nothing. They'll just walk away.
Oh wow. So yeah, that is huge. And
that deal has been extended 9 times.
So what's curious, since you bring that up, is there's supposed to be an imminent stock market crash in the beginning of the year, and it's going to cause
that would definitely start it.
It's going to cause a global rift. Well, yeah, we're at the beginning of the year,
and they give up the euro immediately. which means every UK business stops accepting the euro.
Right.
That's a huge deal.
Well, and if that happens, that is going to affect the American stock market.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Well, because you got to think of how many euros right now are in Britain.
Mm-hmm.
So if they leave and without a deal and the euro becomes useless in Britain, it'll flood to other countries.
Yeah.
Which immediately that means they have too much money on hand.
I remember
The
when
euro
the euro hit Europe. I was in Germany. We loved the Deutschmark. Deutschmark was great. We were pissed when they went to the euro as soldiers.
But the euro will drop. The euro will drop like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Which will drop every other dollar across the world.
So there's, right now, minus Great Britain, there's 3 countries that are not part of the euro, I believe, right? France being one? Or is France part of the euro?
France accepts the euro, but they're not part of it.
Okay.
I believe.
I'm trying to remember the other 2. Which one doesn't take euro? Anyway.
It's like how all the northern states accept Canadian dollars.
Right.
But it has no bearing on them. It's just they accept it because they get a better deal when they take it into the bank.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So the Europeans and Americans will face the immigrant issue, but terrorism will rise. I don't see it, but you never know. And it actually has 2 more points, and then we have to take a break. So climate change will affect the planet, and global leaders will take notice and handle pollution issues. That's actually kind of already being pushed right now. Kind of. So we'll see what happens. And lastly, Pope Francis will cause a great scandal in the Catholic Church, which will last until 2029. He will die, and a younger male will be put in power. So those are the Nostradamus, in a nutshell, predictions. You can find these predictions all over the internet in different forms, whether it's YouTube videos or news sources or whatever. Interesting stuff. I always like to look at it and go, well, that's a possibility. Yeah, I think my biggest worry right now is the Cascadia subduction zone, if that happens. Civil War, yeah. You know what? This country has so much unrest right now, that wouldn't shock me anyway without a Nostradamus prediction. And where's it going to start? Let's take a look at West Virginia, where they're actually trying to legislate taking of weapons, and it is actually getting serious over there.
Yeah.
I think you're safe, William. I don't think Texas is ever going to give up their weapons.
Oh, no. That'll never happen. No. Would never transpire here. No. Whether even if Texas became a blue state, which would never happen probably.
Right.
Yeah, that wouldn't have transpired here. Texans are too in love with their guns to allow that to happen. Or most Texans, not to.
It really shocked me when I because so I read one of my friend's posts actually, and he was pissed and he was just going off about how dare they try to take guns and whatnot. And I told him, look, they said Obama was going to take your guns too, but that never happened. Well, I was wrong. They're actually trying to take the weapons. That's actually being pushed by legislation. So, absolutely. No, that's unconstitutional.
All guns?
Yep. All guns.
Jeez.
Anyway, we will return, folks. It's time for our top of the hour break. And when we come back, we are going to talk about the predictions for UFOs.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Forest Moon Paranormal is a non-for-profit emergency response team that handles all aspects of the paranormal, helping you, your family, friends, and community since 2004. Whether you're having a problem with hauntings, spirits, Bigfoot, other types of cryptids, or UFO activity. Maybe you're just unsure of what's bothering or terrifying you. Or maybe you're just afraid of criticism and disbelief. FMP is here for you. We handle cases globally and locally from our headquarters in Skagit County, Washington. We never accept any form of payment for our services and are 100% confidential. You can find us on Facebook under Forest Moon Paranormal. You can private message us for assistance, or just come join in the discussion and become part of our growing FMP community.
Hey S4ians, please check out one of our newest sponsors, Wiser Books. They're an imprint of Red Wheel Wiser. They publish books across the entire spectrum of occult and esoteric subjects. Their mission is to publish quality books that will make a difference in people's lives without advocating any one particular path or field of study. They value the integrity, originality, and depth of knowledge of their authors. Please check them out at redwheelwiser.com.
We've had several days of 80-degree plus weather here in Concrete, Washington. My family's favorite way to keep cool in this heat is to stop by Java Zone 2 and grab a delicious iced latte for me and a blended mocha for my husband. Our son just loves their creamy milkshakes, and our daughter can't get enough of their ice cream. The best part is, Java Zone 2 is conveniently located just off Highway 20 beside Loggers Landing, and I'm proud to shop local for a business that has been a staple of the Concrete and Upriver community since it opened its doors in 2010. So if you're looking for a way to keep cool in this summer heat, come check out Java Zone 2. They're fast, friendly, and local.
All of us here at S4 and Forest Moon Paranormal would like to thank everyone who attended and supported our 2019 Paracon. It was an amazing event that we couldn't put on without our sponsors, our speakers, and our volunteers. Be sure to keep an eye on our Facebook group, Forest Moon Paranormal, for all your updates on Paracon 2020, September 26th, 2020. Thank you again to everyone.
Well, hello there. Us here at S4 would like to remind you out there that the UFOI team weekly meetings are broadcast live on Facebook from Denny's, where America eats, each Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at UFOI Team on Facebook. The UFOI team's gear, product store, and newsletter are located on their website at ufoiteam.com. To contact the UFOI team with your sightings report or a paranormal story, send an email to the UFOI team at gmail.com. Keep looking up and tell us your story.
Hey everyone, Cole here with S4 Paranormal Radio, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. Looking for a way to get the word out there about your business, group, team, or product? Let us help you. A few clicks is all it takes to get started at s-4radio.com, or you can contact me at 360-999-2830. Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
All right, welcome back to S4. Tonight we're talking the predictions of 2020, whether it's Bigfoot, UFOs, or Nostradamus. And we just covered Nostradamus, and now we're going to talk UFOs extensively, right into cryptids and Bigfoot. So, with us tonight we have Will Pullen, and he is a UFO historian, knows his shit about UFOs, so I love to pick his brain when it comes to predictions. So, what do you think, William, when it comes to predicting what's going to happen in a year? Is there anything we can base it off?
When it comes to UFOs, I don't think so. Because, most sightings are not reported, so it's hard to deduce any conclusions or make any predictions off the data. We could make, I guess we could make some loose predictions. We could say things like most sightings are going to occur in rural areas away from light pollution. We could say that the stronger cases are connected with the military, trained observers, law enforcement officials like that. But to be able to say that sightings will pick up or drop off, or there'll be more abductions or what have you, I have great difficulty entertaining that thought, because most sightings aren't reported. Whether they involve people that are aware of UFOs or not, it makes it very difficult to make predictions like that. But it'll certainly be interesting what 2020 holds. It's always interesting to look back and see what actually happened. So.
Okay, and I'm getting listeners in the chat room that are saying we're dead air, but we're showing all live on the studio on this end, so I don't know what's going on other than if you're listening, let us know. You can hear us in the chat room, because all systems are go on our end, and we have listeners that are saying they can hear us just fine. So all I can say is refresh. And I think you're absolutely right, William. It is hard to predict. You know, we discussed this a little bit earlier in the show. But do you see any more organizations stepping up to the plate? I mean, so MUFON's kind of monopolized it, for years, since '69, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, you've got New Fork operating, but yeah, MUFON's the elephant in the room. Mm-hmm. They've been there a while at that. So, I think it would be good to have another group have some direct competition with MUFON. Will that happen? I don't think so, but I think it would be a really good thing if it did.
But we need a group that's actually going to share the information, share the data to the public, and not just to the UFO field, but to the public. Because the more data that the public sees that there really are UFOs, the more the public will be willing to come out and say, "Oh my God, I saw that too." When I saw my first UFO sighting in Germany, which was a very large orange basketball-sized orb, it actually looked like a blood moon. It looked like a full moon that was orange hovering over the city of Kitzingen. And as we're driving down the Autobahn, I look to my right, and there's the full moon. So the actual moon's on my right, and this craft is on the left. And if you look at the Nuremberg wood cuttings from the 1500s, it's a perfect depiction of what I saw. So when I started talking about what I've seen, I had more and more people coming out saying, "Oh my God, I've seen an orange orb too," and it sounds just like what you talked about. So it's the more encouraged the public is to come out and talk about what they've seen, whether it's in the here and now or something they saw 5-10 years ago, the more reports we're going to have, the more data we're going to have, and we're actually going to have the solid proof everyone looks for.
Agreed. Yeah, if another group came into existence and started investigating UFOs and shared their data, well, like you said, with everybody, complete and total openness, that would motivate people to report what they've seen if they haven't already done so. That's only a good thing, because that would increase the amount of data we have. We bump that percentage up over half as far as people reporting sightings. And the more data you have, the easier it is to, not that it's easy anyway, but the easier it is to try to investigate a phenomenon. So whatever scenario it would take to get more sightings reported is a good thing. And certainly having another group active that's totally open would be that would be a positive step in the right direction. I really wish that would happen, because NICAP and APRA have been gone since the mid-'80s. So since then, MUFON has been the one large group operating. among smaller other groups. And it reminds me of the intelligence community of the U.S. government. They don't talk to each other. They don't share data openly. So that's not productive at all. I mean, it makes no logical sense not to share data, but we're still in the same boat that we've always been.
I honestly think that's because it's so competitive. Everyone wants to be the first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they want to be the smoking gun.
Yeah. And sharing your data can make that not happen.
So do you think that's why To the Stars Academy came out? Was to be, I don't know, do you think To the Stars was put in place to kind of be a smokescreen and take the eyes off MUFON during their big shakeup?
I don't really know. The way things have transpired since they came out might lead one to believe that. I'm not sure, but at the very least, it's added. It's kind of muddied the waters. It's a bunch of window dressing. I don't know if there's really any substance there, but it's certainly made the community more fractured since they came out. You either have PTS, believe it or not. So sorry.
Well, wasn't Tom from Blink-182 the guy who he put forth the money?
So
he did. He put forth some of his own cash. Yeah.
Yeah. So the lead singer of Blink-182 came out and said, I've seen UFOs since I was a kid. I'm going to start To the Stars." He started reaching out to government agencies. They all threw these big government bigwigs, and there's To the Stars.
Okay, but so I'm a little bit younger than you guys. I did watch a lot of MTV growing up, and I watched him on MTV. You guys do realize he was a real weirdo before he started To the Stars, right?
Yeah.
This guy was literally insane.
Real quick, Evening Trip, great to see you in the chat room. Hopefully you can hear us because we're getting complaints that we can't be heard on the show tonight. But even though everything's been completely in the green, so hopefully you can hear us. Tonight we have William Poland, UFO historian, and we have Don, our California consultant, and of course Cole, our co-host tonight. And we're talking 2020 predictions. And so you're just joining us tonight. We are switching over to Sundays from 7 to 10 p.m. February 2nd.
By the way, if anyone's seen Santa, he has forgotten to drop off a few toys to me and Eric here. So we're trying to get a hold of him.
He's a hard one to get a hold of. My striker is not here. You. Do you want a striker, Don? If we get a hold of Santa, we'll send you a striker as well.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Or do you even want a striker? Huh?
I feel like I might need it in the next couple of months.
Right? Especially if these predictions come true. Anyway, so Tom DeLonge got a hold of all these bigwigs of the government. They all joined together with To the Stars to talk about UFOs and the secrets the government was hiding. But again, just like MUFON, they didn't share any of the information that they're talking about.
No, they've controlled the narrative. They've controlled what information they've released. And it's been kind of a drip, drip, drip release to the public. So again, you have a group controlling the data,
right?
And that's not a good thing. Just be open with it. Now I understand wanting to be first and there's competition, and those comments that makes total sense, But at the same time, we need to somehow get to a point where these groups just share the data. Any investigative group should be looking for answers to the UFO problem. That means working together. But if you don't share the data, we continue with this competitive, fractured community where people don't talk to each other. Although the other side of the coin, if another group came into existence, that competition would make MUFON better.
Exactly.
Because MUFON has a monopoly. If APRO was still around, when you have two groups competing against each other, they push each other to higher levels of productivity. When you have one group controlling everything, there's no motivation to get better.
And real quick, absolutely, Trips in the chat room, we said shiny object to steer away from something people were getting close to. And absolutely. I think what turned me away from To the Stars right from the beginning, too, was their push for money. Right from the beginning, oh, we're going to share this and this and this, but if you contribute, and they made how many millions?
More than a few.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They made millions off their project. And when you have so many government officials that are involved with this program, you've got plenty of funding, and you've got funding at your disposal if you're actually in the government and you're joining this To the Stars thing. So why was there a big push for money? That's a red flag to me.
Agreed. Yeah, and you're right. The push for money was almost for the word go. The announcement occurred, and they immediately started, soliciting funds. That's troublesome because, it takes money. It takes money to do UFO research, but money is a slippery slope. Is their integrity intact? I don't know. It seemed money was a focus pretty early on for this group. That's certainly a red flag.
and yeah, pyramid scheme. Yeah, that's kind of Patreon at the start was to build a UFO.
Can I ask you guys a question?
What?
Is anyone honestly amazed at how good of drivers aliens are? Like, how many crashes have there been since the 50s? Well, since 1940, since Roswell.
God. What? You can help me out here more, William. We have the Kecksburg. Obviously, we have the Roswell incident. We've got the Russian Roswell. Okay,
but can you count them on your hands?
How many crashes have been of extraterrestrial craft?
Yeah.
In my opinion, maybe 4 or 5 at best.
So think about that. How many crashes do we have in cars each day or planes? We suck at driving.
No, we suck at technology. So you also have the Kingman, Arizona crash. You have, I think there's more than 4. I think there's more than 4 or 5. But there's quite a few that don't get the publicity that Roswell got. Anyone talks about a UFO crash, the first one they think about is Roswell. Well,
Roswell was the elephant in the room. It's the first one that really made headlines.
But could that be a possibility of why most of them don't land? Because as they're coming down, they probably see about 15 crashes, and they're like, no, I'm not parking here.
Fast as your seatbelt. Okay. Yeah. But if I can't remember, but there was... So at the Roswell crash, there was it 2 or 3 crashed craft, William? I know one went to...
there's either 1 or 2.
Well, so when Roswell happened, there was supposed to be another object in the sky that went to Mexico and crashed, and it was another spaceship. But
I haven't heard that story. No.
Did they crash straight into the ground, or did they hit something in the sky? Like, was this viewed by anyone?
No.
There were witnesses in town that saw this go by.
No, it was a farmer named Braswell that actually heard the boom or whatever and went out to investigate. Mac Braswell?
Yeah, Braswell found the wreckage, which had been there for several days, actually.
Okay.
Now, he states there was only one boom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would only be a crash into the ground.
impact.
That's true, but the boom we heard was during the course of a heavy summer thunderstorm. So
Right.
it's yet to be determined. We don't know if it was the boom of the crash or maybe in the boom from a lightning strike. But the data suggests that there was either one or two crafts that either may have collided or were influenced by the lightning or what have you. But and you have about 2 or 3 different crash sites where there's either a debris field or an actual impact site. I tend to think it was 2 crafts. It seems to be 2 objects. As to why they crashed, I don't know. They may have collided. They may have been struck by lightning. Maybe instrument failure. I mean, any number of things to explain them.
In the 1940s, we started having major things happen in our skies. You know.
Well, we started experimenting with nuclear weapons. Yeah, that was a kind of a big deal. Yeah.
Well, and like way more planes in that era than previous decades.
Well, Tripp is bringing up the point too that it's still questionable if it was the testing of new radar that screwed with the UFO navigations.
I wouldn't adhere to that because radar basically is a radio beam, and if they've traveled from, say, 20 light years away, there's much stronger radio sources they come across before they get to Earth. I mean, Jupiter's a huge radio source. So if a radio beam had affected the craft, they wouldn't have gotten here in the first place.
Every planet itself produces its own radio signal.
Yeah.
So just navigating through the planets.
Yeah. So a radio beam source like a radar installation is much, much, much weaker than something emanating from a planet. So I don't adhere to that explanation.
So what's interesting too is right around the same time as Roswell was the Maury Island, Washington case. And although it wasn't a crash, it was three craft that went over Maury Island in the Puget Sound and dumped sludge onto, I believe his name was Tom Dahl, which killed his dog and injured his son. And that was the first Men in Black case in Washington State. Now, what's interesting about that case is it was right around the same time as Kenneth Arnold seeing the 9 discs and coining the term flying saucer. And they put the sludge on an Air Force plane, and the Air Force plane crashed going to California. So, you've got a whole lot of different scenarios that went into play before Roswell.
I'm that immature kid still. So my first thought is they were dumping the toilets.
You're killing me.
I'm saying, like, oh,
dumping the alien toilet and it hit the
I
boat.
don't know how it's poop.
And Dahl and Chrisman, who were the 2 gentlemen that brought that story to light, both admitted later they hoaxed it.
On his deathbed, was it not?
Yeah, I mean that they both admitted they hoaxed that entire story.
Right.
So I don't know. The Kenneth Arnold sighting to me is the one that really kicked off the modern era. Maury Island, I lumped in with. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying hi to one of our guests or one of the guys.
Hey, PBR.
They hoaxed the Maury Island story.
Yeah, Maury Island, I lumped that in with Aztec. They're both hoaxes. There's no.
What I would want to look into though is what. Okay, I'd want to look at their kids' bank accounts.
A payoff.
There seemed to be no monetary gain from the story.
Yeah, because think about it. On your deathbed, if you have nothing to leave your family, was suddenly everything handled?
There's been no sign of that at all.
None?
None. There's been no data to suggest any legitimacy to the case. Nothing extraterrestrial was found. There was sludge allegedly recovered. But do we know he's extraterrestrial? We don't. And the two men admitted they hoaxed it. I mean, I don't know. I need more. I need documentation. I need physical evidence. It's like the Aztec case. The Aztec case was brought forward by two guys who were convicted of fraud about 3 or 4 years later in Denver, Colorado, which I think undercuts the validity of the story. And again, you have no documentation, no physical evidence. You just have hearsay. But the Kenneth Arnold sighting is a strong case, and that really kicked off this whole modern era. And you go from Roswell, and then later on you had Kecksburg and Socorro and a lot of other strong cases. But there's a few nuggets in there in history that are still believed, even though they've been shown to be hoaxes. And it's kind of symptomatic of the modern era. I mean, but it goes back to the sharing of data. If we have, and I keep going back to that, if we have more sharing of data, we have more openness, then we really know what's going on. We're able to really find out what's going on, as opposed to now, we don't. We have stories we can't really prove or disprove because we don't have all the data, and it makes it very difficult.
So, do you think 2020 is going to be a change? Do you think there's going to be an increase in data, or do you think 2020 is just going to be a loss?
I think it'll be more the same. I unless something really changed the narrative or changed the situation, I just don't think. The groups that share all their data, and there's some out there, are going to continue to do so. I think they'll keep doing that. And the groups that don't share data, I think they'll keep doing that too. So I don't think the situation is going to change much, which is really horrible. I mean, I really wish it would change.
Now, you know what's cool, and I haven't got any confirmation of this, but Kenneth Arnold's original airplane was actually here at the Concrete Heritage Flight Museum for years before they closed it. I never got a chance to go over there and see it, and I don't even know if it's still there. But locally, we need to go look.
That's closed?
Yeah. It got bought out.
They should take the sign down then.
We need to go down there and see if this airplane's just still in there.
I'm on for breaking in. I mean,
that's a great artifact. That's a great artifact to look at.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
So, alien abductions. I lump that with UFO sightings. They're two completely separate entities, obviously. But do we think abductions are going to rise, or do you think people are going to, with 2018, 2019, borrow? Yeah, Tripp's in there saying we're just going to borrow the airplane. Yeah, we'll fly it to your house, Trip. Where was I going? So, with 2018, 2019 being the big push, and that's what I saw, I don't hold my breath because I was kind of disappointed with 2019 towards the end here. I don't see 2020 competing. I think there's too much chaos. I think there's too much... everyone's focused on politics that they're not really watching. Huh?
There is one thing that could push it.
What's that? Space Force?
As we said, we have no idea why Space Force is enacted. If they tell us why, that could be enough of a push.
Well, yeah. Is that the disclosure? The Space Force?
It might
know.
Like,
or it might be totally unconnected to UFOs. It may be just strictly a response to terrestrial threats from China or Russia. We don't know.
Or maybe the meteorite that Nostradamus predicted is real, and they just don't want to cause panic on the globe, so they're making the Space Force to go pull an Armageddon. Like, Bruce Willis is going to join and go up there and blow it up.
No, because they would have involved him from the start. We'd already know he was on it. But no, what I'm saying is, okay, since I joined S4, I have been adamant that in order for disclosure to happen, it honestly has to be the government coming out and say, yes, everything's real. It is all true. Everything. This is what we have. Here you go. The problem is, in this generation, we are at a point where we do not believe a word our government says. Therefore, in my mind, disclosure cannot happen. The only way it can happen is for them to actually reveal themselves in a true way.
Yeah.
So
they have to reveal themselves to the world.
So, Don, I've got a mission for you.
What's up?
You're going to go join the Space Force and be our mole.
Okay.
I would like to send someone into a recruitment center asking, how soon can we join Space Force?
They don't even have a recruiting center open that I know of. We'll have to go to Burlington and see if they have a new Space Force recruiting center and interview them. What's your
Well, Burlington, you can is a recruitment center for all three.
Yeah.
All four, because you can join the Marines as well.
Right.
So, but I would imagine that's where you'd go for that as well.
But I'm curious, what is the Space Force's mission statement? Is it to defend the planet from extraterrestrial invasion?
Don't open your mask.
I don't know if that's even been declared. I don't know. Yeah.
I don't think it has. It's too new. And you're right, Trip. We already kind of talked about that a little bit. The Space Force was formed before Trump. I think, honestly, like William was saying earlier, Ronald Reagan kind of brought that concept out with, Star Wars. That was kind of the concept. But is it to protect us from alien invasion or ballistic missiles shot from space? That would be the $1 million question.
Well, now it's Trump trying to build a wall in space.
Well, yeah, to keep the alien immigrants from coming to, the planet. Yeah, we have an alien immigrant problem. So I guess 2020 is going to be an interesting year from many different fronts and, orbits. And I don't think Nostradamus ever predicted anything about a Space Force, other than, supposedly there's a meteorite coming. But I don't hold a lot of credence. I don't hold a lot of credence in that either, because how many times have we heard, there's a meteorite going to hit the Earth? A lot.
I'm going to bring something up because as soon as we can get her in, I want to. I saw something on Facebook from Nikki Jacobs, who is part of UFO I Team. When it comes to predictions, she had an idea that just amazed me because I had never even come close to thinking about this. She was watching The Day After Tomorrow, and she remembered a psychic who had a prediction about a wall of water hitting New York City, and he had described the movie almost perfectly. So she had a thought that what if the predictions that some psychics had were honestly of them watching a movie later in life. You think of the size that our TVs have gotten. Sometimes when you're watching a movie, you get so engrossed.
Hold on. So, let me fix this real quick, folks. Skype has dropped. It just can't be an S4 show without, some kind of technical glitch. It just wouldn't be S4. So let me get Skype back up and running again. I hate technology sometimes. And no, actually, PBR, he actually had that prediction before that movie came out. So, yeah, that'd be an easy one to point at. But no, he actually saw the movie, or he actually had that before the movie came out. All right, so we are connected back into the chat. Me
there we are.
Dropped. There we go. So do we have it here still? And it dropped again. Hold on a sec here. Yeah, Skype is a pain. Skype is a pain. We need to find a program that gets away from Skype. If we could find a program here that got away from gotta love this.
We're out.
And it totally went off. Okay, let me pull everybody back in here.
No, he dropped us.
And I'm very sorry about this, folks. It just wouldn't be Skype without a technical issue. It usually doesn't happen this early, though. We shall call her back in here. All right, we all here?
Nope, we've got 2 of us in.
Hello.
Okay.
3 of us. 4 of us.
All right. You gotta love Skype, and it, like I said in the show, it's just not an S4 without at least one Skype drop. All right. You're absolutely right, PBR. It's much better than the cell phone. So the problem with the cell phone, my cell phone anyway, is I'd be on a show or I'd be on Space Dot Radio, and after 2 hours, the towers decide, oh, you've been dormant, and they would drop my call. And when you're doing around a 3-hour show, well, it kind of sucks. But where were we? What were we talking about?
So we were talking about Nikki Jacobs. So
Nikki Jacobs.
she's.
So PBR was bringing up. He saw the movie and dreamt about it, but no, he actually had that premonition before the movie came out. Correct?
Yeah, like five years before.
Right.
So, it's a good thought that like maybe some of the premonitions that are out there are coming from the point of view of watching a movie or seeing something or even reading something.
Where would he get the premonition if that movie didn't come out for 5 years? If he didn't see the movie, where did the premonition come from?
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like the premonitions that some people are having of these disastrous events. Think of how well our movies are being made now. They are very, like.
So maybe the movie makers are getting their ideas from psychics?
It's a possibility. These ideas have to come from somewhere. Like there is no idea that doesn't come from something.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree. And we've talked about this on the show, but Chris Carter gets his ideas for X-Files and whatnot from the government. I think Steven Spielberg was one that got his ideas from government, and one other European director that actually got realistic information for his movies.
Well, and then like Stephen King gets his ideas from his dreams, which are always nightmares.
Oh yeah.
Now, but his nightmares are all things that he had experienced as a child that terrified him.
So, PBR saying old UFO movies such as War of the Worlds create the abduction? No, because abductions have been going on since the 1300s. What's the earliest abduction encounter that you've heard, William?
The first one publicly known was the Betty Barney Hill case. 1960. Well, that came out in 65, 66. And there's one other case of the books, the Antonio Villabojas case from the late 50s. Prior to that, there weren't any abduction cases that have been corroborated.
I disagree.
What?
35 AD. No, 0 AD.
Which one?
He left for 3 days and came back.
Oh.
Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, so we can go into a whole lot of different theories about Jesus being an alien. It depends on which side of the fence you fall on.
Well, but could he be an abductee?
Well, yeah. So
how do we go about proving that?
Well, you couldn't.
We wouldn't.
Unless you can read hieroglyphics, or no Aramaic. But think about it. So, according to one theory, the earthquake that happened when Jesus was resurrected was actually a spaceship crashing. If you look at Dante Santori's videos, he actually goes into the whole story.
What do you mean he goes into the whole story?
The whole story of Christianity and its origin in relation to aliens and different alien races. You can go on YouTube and find his whole channel. And yeah, I'm a firm advocate. You don't go to YouTube for news and whatnot because it could all be invalidated. But he has some really interesting theories.
Didn't Ancient Aliens also do an episode on that?
Quite
if I remember right.
So here's the thing, though. So Dante Santori. Say again.
They most likely did do an episode on that.
So Dante Santori is the one who translated the original Alien Races book from the Russian KGB, along with the Alien Races book that he found in the box that he was going through was a lot of different artifacts, other books outside of the Alien Races book that go into world history, things of that nature. And so he took that information. And he talks about it, and he still talks about it today in different theories on his YouTube channel. He disappeared for about 2 years and then came back, last year? Was it last year that I said Dante came back?
Yes.
Yeah. So... No, I'm just watching what. Yeah. Just to clarify for the chat room, no, I have never screwed over Spaced Out Radio. Dave and I are quite good friends. So whatever drama you're talking about in the chat room, no.
Because we're switching nights, I bet.
What?
Because we're switching nights and times.
Oh. You know what? No, we're not screwing over Dave.
No.
The only thing that Dave's pissed off at me about is I shaved off my beard. He stopped talking to me after I shaved off my beard. So, Dave, if you're listening, deal.
And there is a perfectly good reason for him doing that. Eric recently finished his diploma. He is a college graduate. We are very proud of him. And he is using the skills he learned in university to better our community and what we do here. He has already joined the Red Cross, and he is doing quite a few things within our community. But in order to talk to some of the people that he needs to, he has to be clean-shaven. That's just the way it is.
I have to have
to get a better response.
I have to have a professional... I went back to my military appearance just because people won't talk to you with a beard and long hair. So, yeah.
Freaking hippies.
Exactly.
It's all their fault.
Yeah. You know the deal, Don.
Oh, yeah. I'm lucky enough to get a job to where I can grow out my goatee as long as I want it to be.
Right. So, yeah, I'm actually comfortable without a beard. It's fine. Bigfoot kind of got pissed off at me. He doesn't knock on wood anymore so much anymore. But It's okay. We go back up in the woods. He'll start knocking again.
It's freaking cold.
What?
He's hiding in a cave. It's cold.
Well, they do go to higher elevations in the winter.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what's going on as far as the show's going. I know some people can hear us perfectly. Other people are complaining because they can't hear us at all.
Probably listening to us on Apple products. That's the problem.
That could be. That could be. I know, again, everything's green here. Everything's broadcasting fine. And if Trip says we sound good, then we sound good, damn it.
And if you can't hear us, how are you responding?
Right? Exactly. So, third hour, we're actually going to talk about Bigfoot and cryptids, because I'm curious. And we'll start that intro now. But what do you know about Mothman, William?
Just a few of the details. I mean, there's aspects of the Mothman case that seem to bleed into different parts of the paranormal, not just cryptids or UFOs, but it's a bizarre case because you can't pigeonhole it into one category. It's not a UFO case. It's not an abduction case. It's not strictly cryptid. One of the most interesting cases out there. I mean, a lot of the cases of paranormal activity, you can assign it that's a cryptid or that's a UFO or that's a ghost sighting or what have you. The Mothman series of events, you can't do that. There's aspects that suggest something else going on. It's pretty bizarre.
It's more of a supernatural entity than it. Yeah, and you're right. It's not UFO. It could fall under cryptid, but the traits that he has wouldn't be an animal. Glowing red eyes. The predictions that it depends on which side of the fence you fall on with him. It's a hard one. I think when I actually started putting doubt into that original Point Pleasant story, because the original story was in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and all of a sudden they've got this big festival they make after him, and they're bringing in money, and come to find out the bridge collapse that happened that they blamed on Mothman was because of poor inspections. Was because they already knew the bridge was going to collapse anyway. So, when you start looking at the overlying agenda potential, it kind of throws doubt into the validity of it. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up is because last year they started having these Mothman-type creature reports in Chicago.
So, okay, with that, what are you seeing? What are you seeing as prediction for 2020 for the cryptid community, Eric?
We're going to talk about that in the third hour. I'm just going to bring an intro into it.
Oh, fine. You that way. Don't answer my question.
Predictions for and I do have some questions pertaining to cryptids for 2020. Do we think we're going to find Bigfoot?
No.
What do you think, Don?
Yeah, no.
No, I don't think it's gonna happen in 2020. I think Bigfoot just wants to be hidden.
Yeah, I agree with Don. Like that, he doesn't want to be found. He hasn't been found for how many years? Why would he want to come out now?
Well, I think we're going to go in the mountains a little more in 2020.
Yes, but he has been there for a while. There's no way sound doesn't travel uphill. Okay? He knows what's going on out here. It's getting worse. If he didn't come out in the 50s, why would he want to come out now?
Well, I definitely wouldn't. Now, keep an eye on the time here. What do you think, Trip? What do you think our listeners in the chat room, is 2020 going to be an advancement in the cryptid community? or is it going to stay the same? And we're going to keep talking while you think of your answer. But
And PBR, just so you know, there was no show last week due to it being Christmas and everything. We all had parties to go to and food to eat because I'm fat now. I was fat before, but I'm like still fat. So just so you guys know.
But we are getting some new equipment. And we are getting
exercise equipment because I ain't gonna use that.
I thought you got splitters and stuff.
Oh yes.
So PPR brings up a good point. What, like 100,000 deer die? Where are the bones? Just like Bigfoot. And
puppy.
so I have actually gone in the woods and I found bear bodies. I found, well, not recently, but I have found animal bodies. But you know, when you're looking at deer, for example. How many predators, cougars, coyotes, things like that are picking them apart? Now with the bones, you're absolutely right. You don't find bones too often. But there's parts of the woods that humans, in this country, have never been to. Maybe they're all there. I mean, I don't know. But, good point. When an animal dies, it biodegrades. Animals pick them apart. You're usually going to find a carcass. No one's ever found a Bigfoot carcass that I'm aware of. As far as the lupine side, wolfman, dogman, lichens, werewolves. We tried to get Butch on tonight. And I want to get Butch back for 2020. To actually start talking more dogman. Everyone hears about Bigfoot all the time. I want to hear about cryptids this year that we don't get to hear about a whole lot.
90% of the mythology on lichens and werewolves is that they revert back to their human form. So all we find is a missing person.
You don't even find missing persons up here anymore. But that's another story.
Unfortunately, that one young lady, I think, honestly, she fell off that cliff, and we will find her, maybe.
Maybe. So when you start talking about that, you start talking about Paulides and Missing 401. Another one I'd love to get on the show and pick his brain is David Paulides. I read in the news, was it last week? The scientists are now talking about multiple dimensions.
They're building a portal.
I know. I think that's the stupidest shit they could ever come up with. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring some more otherworldly creatures through the portal. There's a good idea.
It stops our whole trash problem in this world.
Right?
Just throw it in the portal.
Oh, God. Tracy Dolan 411. I'm going to have to look that one up. And I haven't heard anything about a lady being mauled with DNA results. Again, if you want a topic, if you have an idea for a guest, send it to eastcountyrescue@yahoo.com. And that is my direct email. Much easier for me to say online, or say on the air, rather. But we want ideas for guests to bring on here and just pick their brain for 3 hours, by all means.
Not like when they get abducted. Not that kind of picking of the brain.
Right? No.
Just to clarify.
Richard Dolan losing his mind. Okay, I got you. I want to get Grant Cameron on the show. So what's your thoughts, William, on I can't remember his name, but the Canadian Department of Defense Ministry, I believe, that came out, what was it, a few years ago?
Paul Hellyer. Yeah.
Yeah. So why can't we get U.S. government officials to come out and talk about their experiences? And I don't count to the Stars Academy by any means.
Yeah.
That's not.
No.
Because they all die of natural causes when they announce they're going to.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Or car accidents.
It's kind of like the whole disclosure thing. I mean, the government generally doesn't reveal information unless it's politically advantageous to do that. It's a no-win situation. If they reveal they've been covering this stuff up for 70 years, the public may hold them accountable for it at the voting box. So there's no upside to talking about it.
Right.
Hellier decided to open up and testify about what he knows, but I think he's a one-off. You don't see many politicians even look at the UFO topic in a legitimate way. I mean, here in the States, I mean, the one politician I really think about a lot is Barry Goldwater. Barry Goldwater spent his entire career pushing for UFO disclosure. He wanted to know what the Air Force knew. I can't think of another politician that was so open and frank in public, in the public eye, about the UFO topic.
Right.
Reagan talked about his sighting. Carter talked about his sighting. John Podesta, who was Clinton's chief of staff, I think he was with Obama also, talked about UFO disclosure, but he didn't have a sighting himself. But beyond those four gentlemen, it's not really talked about. I think it's because they're afraid of losing the next election. It's not to their advantage to talk about UFOs.
It's interesting because with Obama, I remember a little kid asked Obama about UFOs, and Obama said, "Well, there's some things I can't talk about." Then you got Trump. Trump came out and said, "I don't believe there's anything. It's possible, but I don't believe in UFOs. But we're going to build a space force." So there's mixed signals. And again, I'm not going to rehash because you can go back and listen to the archives. We actually talked about the whole Trump interview. But if you looked at Trump's body language, he was lying while he was talking about the UFO issue.
Well, when Jaden Smith asked Obama about aliens, it really embarrassed his dad, Will Smith, and he kind of reprimanded his son a little bit.
That's right.
And then Obama said he can neither confirm or deny.
Right.
But if anything was to go down, they were standing in the Situation Room in the White House, and he said this would be the room that I would be standing in to talk about that.
Right. And that's the closest I think since Carter and Reagan, because none of the other ones talked about UFO. I don't remember Bush ever talking about either of the Bushes ever talking about UFOs, or Clinton, Bill, that is, talking about UFOs. And then you've got the whole Hillary Clinton campaign where she had, and I can't remember his name, but her someone in her campaign was talking about if she wins the election, we're going to bring out UFO disclosure and yada yada yada. Which one was that, William?
Oh, that was that Podesta? John Podesta?
That sounds right. That was Podesta.
Yeah, he's been pushing for that for a long time. He makes a lot of good logical points. It's the law. They can't. They're spending taxpayer dollars to hide this information from us. We should have the right to see it. So, it's the UFO topic is talked about in the public eye a little more than before, and it's not ridiculed as much. It's still ridiculed a little bit, but it's treated a little more legitimately than it had been, say, prior to about 3 or 4 years ago. That I guess, to my mind, that's the one positive, firm change that the TTSA has precipitated. The media treats UFOs legitimately instead of tongue-in-cheek. They don't make fun of it anymore. So that's been a change.
It has.
Beyond that, there's been no change. But it's talked about in a legitimate light now.
And on that note, we have to take a break, so we have a new song for you until we get more commercials. But you're going to listen to Bump in the Night from...
It's one of their older songs.
What?
It's one of their older songs. It's a really good one. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, so enjoy Bump of the Night by Cryptomnesia, which we still need to get on the show. We will in 2020. We'll come back.
Buggers are hard to get a hold of.
Yeah, but they're hard to get on the show. But when we come back, we will pick up cryptids. We're going to talk about TV shows coming out in 2020. And we're going to wrap up with what can you do to prepare for 2020. So stay tuned.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
All right, and we are back. Love Cryptomnesia. Those guys are awesome. They're a local band here, do paranormal metal, and they have their own show every Wednesday night on Dead Man Radio.
If any of you guys from Cryptomnesia listen to this one, definitely get a hold of us so we can get you on the show. You guys rock.
Oh, no, better yet, I want them to bring their instruments.
Oh, I'm not so excited about that one. We do the show at my house. My neighbors are not going to like that.
You know what? Your neighbors are loud enough anyway. They can deal.
He's been quiet. I don't know. Maybe he killed his wife and they're no longer fighting.
Oh, God. So, Don had to leave us. He got tired. So, good night, Don. Sleep well. We'll see you next week. Next week, we're actually talking about psychics. Since you brought Nikki into the discussion, we'll be getting a hold of Nikki so we can talk about some of these possible theories about where psychics get their premonitions. Where does it all come from?
Ooh, anyone in Massachusetts listening, be careful. You got an ice storm coming. That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about day after tomorrow.
Right?
Anyway, William, so I wanted to talk about Bigfoot with you. What's your thoughts about Bigfoot?
I think it's a physical creature. I think it's a bipedal mammal that exists in North America and is intelligent enough to avoid human contact. Like a mountain lion. Mountain lions don't interact with humans very much, so that's my feeling on Bigfoot.
I'm going to argue. I'm going to argue a lot. So, yes, I agree. He's probably the best hide and seek animal in the world. As far as cougars, we have cougar sightings here all the time. They come in town. They don't hide. Bigfoot hides. So, not to put you on the spot, that's not my intent whatsoever, but I'm going to ask. So, how do you explain the many cases where you have tracks? For example, happens here. You will be following Bigfoot tracks in the snow, and you'll go to an open field. The tracks completely stop. There are no trees to climb up. There's nowhere to hide. So that's one example. The second example I always use, because it happens quite frequently, is where you have Bigfoot hunters that will put game cams up. And these game cams will pick up the normal wildlife, the coyotes, the birds, and the camera will go white. And it's not a malfunction. I mean, it is, but the camera will go white. You'll still hear sound. There's a creature there, but then the camera, that particular primate sound will disappear. The camera goes back to normal. The wildlife returns in visual. That to me, and you can call me a crackpot, but that to me shows signs of an interdimensional being. So again, not to argue, I just want to hear your point.
I can't explain it. I don't know. I would never profess to know what's going on. I mean, I guess to make it more specific, I think a lot of cases as far as Bigfoot sightings do entail possibly just a physical creature. But there are cases just like in UFO literature. I mean, there's cases of UFOs that clearly are nuts and bolts craft or objects. But there's sightings out there that are also have a high strangeness that we can't explain. Same thing with Bigfoot. A lot of the cases seem to suggest strongly a physical creature like a grizzly bear or a mountain lion, an earthly mammal, a terrestrial creature.
Oh,
but there's cases out there that can't be explained. So I don't know. I have no explanation for what's being cited. And for those characteristics, I have no idea.
Yeah, and that's why I fall into the interdimensional category with him. And then you have the Native American world where they actually describe hairy man, or Sasquatch, which translates to hairy man, where they actually describe him as being a part of rituals and being a guardian of the earth, essentially. So I compare it to Native American or First Nations lore, along with some of the evidence that some of these researchers have encountered. Personally, I've heard the knocks. I've actually had him respond back intelligently with knocks after we've knocked back. Markham, our scientist that we have on the show, on occasion when he's available, actually heard his first knock here at the house, and it was interesting. It was unique because it actually had tone to it. It wasn't a normal log being knocked on a tree. And I've had people argue, oh, the knocks are actually just woodpeckers. Really? Okay, stop. Have you ever heard a woodpecker? I have. And if you ever compare a woodpecker to a Bigfoot knock, there's a huge difference. Woodpeckers don't sound like a log banging on a tree. So have you ever heard of gifting sites?
No, I'm not familiar with that term.
So gifting sites they're creative and they're interesting. So some people set up a gifting site and they'll take they'll go to a spot. You don't put food because anything can pick up food. Squirrels will eat the food. Raccoons will eat the food. But if you put things like marbles, if you put things like I've even heard of matchbox cars being used, shiny objects in the middle of a known Bigfoot hotspot, Bigfoot will take those and they'll gift you shiny rocks or, in one case, flowers back. And that happens frequently, depending on where you're at. So, I mean, you've got interesting cases, and I completely agree. UFOs, it can be, some of them can be explained for planets or terrestrial craft or experimental craft. Other ones are just completely unexplainable. And some Bigfoot sightings, I agree. It's someone that missighted a bear. I
or
think
a guy who didn't shave.
Huh?
Or a guy who didn't shave.
Well, yeah, you've got those too. Especially up here. I think what I find interesting is that the difference in 2019 was you actually heard a lot more cases of aggressive Bigfoot. So, in the South, for example, you have the swamp ape. The swamp ape is known, and it has always been known, to be aggressive. A shorter creature than the West Coast Bigfoot. The West Coast Bigfoot is known to be more docile, keeps to himself, doesn't want to be seen. If you don't listen to his warnings, if he does give you warnings, they will get aggressive. But overall, they're not an aggressive beast. But in 2019 is where you saw a lot of changes. You saw a lot more aggressive cases coming in. So our Keith, who's our alien race specialist on the show, said there is an off-world Bigfoot creature called the Awara, which would account for some of the more aggressive cases because they are known to be aggressive. Now, what I'm curious about, are we going to see more aggressive cases coming in versus the normal Bigfoot? What's your thoughts?
I think that might be an unknowable dynamic. We don't know because we're dealing with an organism. We're dealing with a creature who has its own motivations, its own behavior patterns, its own mental capacities. It's going to choose to do what it wants to do. So I don't think any of us could predict what another intelligent creature might decide to do. So it's interesting, though, to make these observations, and try to predict what's going to happen. So, but I guess that's the interesting part of the conversation.
Right.
Trying to wrap our head around what may or may not happen. So,
and Tripp is in the chat room, and I completely agree with as popular as Bigfoot camping, RVing has become. Should anyone actually take wood knock serious anymore? I do. I actually get a kick out of woodknocks. I think they're cool. It's an intelligent creature that's actually interacting. Now, whether woodknocks are actually a warning to other animals that there's a human present, or if it is a language, would be my question. They seem to like music, because there was one example with Larry Anderson, our Bigfoot guy here locally, that had his friend that was up playing guitar up in the middle of the mountains. No humans around whatsoever. There's some areas that we can go to that there is no human visitation. And he sat and he played the guitar, just practicing. And he played the guitar for like 2-3 hours. And he left. He went back up there the next day, and there was a whole pile of flowers left right where he had been playing. So, was that Bigfoot gifting him? I would say so, because there was nobody else around. That indicates to me, though, that Bigfoot likes music.
I have a question.
What?
If you guys went there, how was there no human visitation?
We didn't go there. Only he went there. So he played his guitar for 2-3 hours. He left. And he went back and found the flowers.
So what you're saying is Larry's not human. That's what I'm getting out of this now.
Oh, okay. Okay, shuttle and tanks. Oh, okay, in the chat room they're talking about woodpeckers pecking the space shuttle. Other people banging on trees. So, the example that I had where I was banging back, there were no other humans up where we were. It was up in Upper Finney. This actually happened to me. So it wasn't, yeah, there was no humans around.
I thought you guys were up on Haystack.
Not that time. The time we had intelligent return was when Steve Monchok and I were up on Mount Higgins after he saw the creature running down the road. And that was interesting, because so he took his Charger up, and obviously it's not a 4x4, it's not loud, so he was driving down a mountain road up on Mount Higgins, and he rounded a corner, and he saw this. He freaked out because he'd never seen Bigfoot before. Now, I don't think too many people have actually seen a Bigfoot before, but he rounded the corner, and there's this 7-foot tall creature that was crouched down in the middle of the road. And it must have heard his car crunch the gravel. But it stood up and looked back at him, and it ran. And there's a steep cliff on one side of this road, and there's a sheer drop cliff on the other side of the road. So when it ran, it disappeared, because he hit the gas and was doing 40 and said it disappeared. And so when we went back up there, there was a trail going down the one side. And there was a very distinct print alongside the road. So I did leave some Matchbox cars there. We never went back up to see if they got taken. But it was an interesting... before we got to that point, before we went back and reinvestigated the site, is when we heard the tree knocks. We knocked back, and it knocked back in return.
Now, Trip's saying it's really, really hard to find an area that another person isn't within 5 miles anymore. That's not so true here with this community. There is a lot of areas that are, like, we are surrounded on both sides by logging areas of this valley. And with that, a lot of these logging roads that were built, they are not going to log for another 10 years.
No, they're gates.
They're gated. And you can walk 5 miles and you will not see another person out there. Most of them, they use the regular hiking trails put out by the National Forest Service. And they don't use the logging trails because you're actually not really supposed to be there.
Right. So bear in mind, we're in the heart of the Cascade Mountains, the Cascade Mountain Range in the Mount Baker National Forest. So, yeah, it's real easy to find a spot that there is no human for 20 miles if you're in the heart of the mountains. So, I agree. In most places, you think of the Appalachians, think of the Rocky Mountains, same thing. There are areas that you're not going to find a human for miles around. So what do you think, William? Do you think we're going to find any new cryptid species in 2020, or do you think the cryptid fields is just going to stay the same?
I would tend to think it's going to stay the same. I don't know if we'll find any or uncover any suggestion of any kind of a new species or new cryptid. I think the focus will still be on trying to confirm and gain more data about cryptids we know about.
Right.
Whether they've been confirmed legitimately or not, I think that's kind of where the field seems to go, and that kind of goes toward other paranormal fields. It's more about trying to just gather more data to try to find out what's going on, whether it's talking about paranormal apparitions, ghosts, UFOs, cryptids. It's all kind of the same. It goes in the same direction, trying to find out more, trying to find out about what's going on, as opposed to trying to confirm something's going on. We kind of know there's something to the UFO topic. We know there's cryptids that exist. We're trying to find data to more definitively confirm and try to find out what the actual explanation is. So, but I don't know if we'll find a body. I don't know if we'll find more evidence than we have now. I don't know if we'll find any new cryptids that may or may not exist. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I can't recall the last time a new cryptid was added to the literature.
Right.
The chupacabra, maybe? I don't know. I mean, what was the last new cryptid?
But they haven't talked about the chupacabra since, the 90s, that I'm aware of anyway. The chupacabra kind of became a dead topic.
Yeah.
Wow.
True, yeah.
He's an icon in Mexico. Like, you can find, but they commercialized him.
Yeah. So most of your chupacabra sightings were always in, I believe it was Puerto Rico and Mexico. And then you had a few that migrated into the Texas area. Texas was known for chupacabra sightings as well.
But like, you go to the Senior Frogs in Mexico, like in Mazatlan,
right,
and they have chupacabra chop. I can't even say that. They have T-shirts.
Chupacabra.
Yeah, they got his T-shirts there.
Well, yeah.
It's like, I think the one my aunt got said, I took 10 shots of tequila and all of a sudden I was partying with chupacabra. There, I said it.
Well, so you've got the skeptics. You have skeptics everywhere, and I get that. They want proof, but they think he looks like a coyote with mange, is what I've heard, and they don't. The ones I've seen don't look anything like a coyote with mange.
But that's the problem with finding a new cryptid.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to new things, we're all skeptics.
Well, yeah.
So, and you think of, okay, so in the news, like mainstream media, for years when they talked about a UFO sighting or anything like that, it was a joke at the end of the segment.
Right.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years, it has become more.
No, because that was the change in 2019 and 2018 where the news media actually started talking about it a little more seriously. And part of that was because the Navy came out and said they are going to start accepting UFO sighting reports from their pilots.
But cryptid is still a segment after the end of a segment. It is still a joke. In main news sources, you talk about different cryptids, they 90% come out in the tabloids.
But what's interesting is you will actually, I believe it's in Montana or Idaho, they actually have in the National Forest warning signs of Bigfoot areas. And that's from the National Forestry Service.
Oh, and so does Alberta.
That legitimizes it, that the government recognizes that they might exist.
Does it? Because Drumheller, Alberta is huge for dinosaurs, and we have dinosaur sighting, like dinosaur signs saying, watch out for dinosaurs. This is the, like, dinosaur crossing signs.
Right.
On the highways. So does that legitimize it, truthfully?
Yes and no.
Because, hell, half the time like, most people out here don't pay attention to the elk crossing signs here. Like,
Well, yeah, you got that too.
Like, no, they'll never come out.
Until you hit one.
Yeah.
So, William, how familiar are you with some of the UFO and Bigfoot crossover?
Somewhat familiar. I'm not sold on the idea, but there's some interesting cases out there that seem to suggest, or what's being put forward has kind of suggested there might be a connection between UFOs and Bigfoot. But all the cases that feature that, virtually all of them are kind of single witness, no physical evidence kind of deal, and it's hard to definitively prove a case like that, or at least attach more credence to that case, because it's just a single person talking about what they experienced, which is not to suggest they're hoaxing it or lying.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, if I'm a policeman and I get one person's testimony, am I going to be satisfied with just one person?
No.
No. I need to look for more. And I take that same approach with those cases. So it's interesting that there may be a connection. My position is there isn't, but I might be wrong. But we need more information again to find out if there is, or to what extent there may be a connection.
You know, with those cases, it'd be great to find a trace landing site along with Bigfoot prints. You know, that'd be confirmation right there. But you're not going to find that.
But would it? Because we also, from our Keith, he has talked about that one race of alien that is kin to Bigfoot, but not related at all.
Right. But
would they not have the same feet?
No, but with that race, so with the Awara, they don't get off a craft. They basically beam down. If you go by the descriptions, and if you go by the descriptions of the aggressive races, there is an orb of light that is seen with them.
You don't travel 21,000 light years and not have to pee when you go land. Okay.
Yeah. I think so. With the cases I've heard two sides of the coin on this. I've heard of the cases, and I've talked about this on S4 before, but I've heard of the cases where you have a landed craft sighting, you have a Bigfoot that gets off the craft, they've been seen picking up soil and water samples, getting back on the craft takes off. Have you heard of that one? Will?
It all lumps into that high strangeness kind of deal. That it's kind of reminiscent of Mothman. There's aspects of the Mothman case that suggest UFOs, suggest supernatural, suggest ghost apparitions. There's no tightness to the case where you can pigeonhole it into one category. And some of these cases that kind of bleed over different aspects of the paranormal, it's hard to, I guess, attack the problem because it's not just a straight-up UFO case or
No.
straight-up cryptid. It makes it difficult.
Not to mention, it's hard enough to get people convinced that there is a Bigfoot, let alone there's a Bigfoot with a UFO.
That's the other thing, I mean, I get a little pushback here in San Antonio for not being a little more relaxed with my point of view, but I just try to approach things like a like a police detective would, or a military policeman. I want to see more data. I'm not going to make assumptions about what may be happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, it pays dividends to do that. We can't assume anything. We have to find out. It really comes down to what we believe doesn't matter. What we can prove does, and that's a high standard. But it's good to have a high standard. We can't be lazy and believe everything. That's
I agree with that to a point. I would say you have to start making some assumptions just in order to get the ball rolling, especially if you're with other people. You have to have a conversation and make some assumptions, and not like believe them as concrete evidence, but make some assumptions so that you can start thinking of how to approach it and collect evidence as from a different point of view.
Agreed, as long as they're informed assumptions.
Yes, I agree with that.
It can't be random speculation, and that's rampant in the paranormal field. Rampant.
Yeah, there is a lot of it. Yes.
Yeah, things that are believed that are clearly not true, but they're. I guess it comes down to a lot of people want validation of their own belief structure. They want to hear that their beliefs are true, and a real investigator should not do that. A real investigator just should be looking at the data. Period. Regardless of where the explanation leads, that's the way to go.
Everything's a demon because my belief system says so.
Well, see, and that's the thing. Like, you can carry that over to every subject because, like, my belief system is Catholic for religion,
right?
But I don't need validation for it. I believe it. If you don't, well, okay.
Right. But you're Catholic, and you're not running around saying aliens are demons.
That's because I don't want them to spit like pea soup at me. Okay. Like, God, I've seen the movie.
You're making me choke here. Oh, okay. Moving on because we have half an hour left of the show. I do want to hit on some new TV shows that are coming out.
Jesus Christ, Rip, come on.
And I'm disgusted in that it seems like all the new TV shows that are coming out, they're getting so desperate to find something to feed the masses that, well, they're just getting desperate. I mean, we've got Hotel Paranormal. Well, what do you think that's about?
Well, okay, but you also, like, that is honestly the way TV has always worked. When they bring out something and it is successful, which you have to, I know you hate it, but you have to admit, Ghost Adventures is successful.
Well, here's my problem, and I think William can agree with this, but if it's a TV show and it's for entertainment, which they all are, tell people it's for entertainment. It's not reality. You don't investigate this way, and not everything's a demon. Because every TV show that comes out, oh my God, it's a demon. No, it's not. It's Uncle Bob.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Yeah, there's a fine line between show and program.
Exactly.
To my way of thinking, a show is more for entertainment purposes, ratings, advertising dollars, things like that. A program suggests more of a accurate examination, a documentary style kind of program.
Right.
But most of these paranormal shows are literally just shows. They're not portraying accurate events or accurate data or really showing what the investigation looks like. They're just trying to sell. They're scripted.
Okay,
so.
But you look at Zach Bagans, okay? I gotta say.
Oh, he's back, by the way.
He may not be a good paranormal investigator, but he is one heck of a TV show producer because of the fact that what was the most popular show on Netflix in 2018?
Ghost Adventures.
No, Making a Murderer.
Oh, okay.
What did Zach Bagans start buying? every piece of every serial killer's memorabilia that he could.
And then he got possessed by a demon.
He bought the Manson house.
Oh?
He bought Charles Manson's house. He's trying to buy someone's brain. I can't remember whose it was. But, like, with that, if he's buying all those things, his next show is going to be about dead serial killers and trying to contact them.
Oh, God. Yeah. No. Yeah. Anyway, so we have Hotel Paranormal. So that's going to be about haunted hotels. And, you know, red rum, right, that comes through. Yeah. Rose Red. We got to go to Rose Red. Thornwood. If I was to go to a haunted hotel, it'd be Thornwood.
That's Gordon Ramsay's next show. He's actually going to be cooking in that one.
Haunted cooking? There you go. Watch as the cake spoon actually stirs itself. You know, I might actually watch that one. So next up, we have The Witches of Salem, which is a 4-part series about the Salem trials, and I actually might watch that one just to see how good it is. And Izzy says it's John Wayne Gacy.
Hi, Izzy.
I knew she was listening. The kids must be asleep. And then we have, wait for it, haunted hospitals. We can't get original?
But I kind of like that one.
Yeah, but haunted...
I like old hospitals.
Of course a hospital's going to be haunted. People die there.
Next show, haunted bathrooms. That's what they need.
No, next show I've got is Paranormal 911. It's returning. So Paranormal 911's probably kind of good. It's first responder reports, and it's in its second season. So obviously it's. Have you ever seen Paranormal 911, William?
No, not at all.
No, I stay away from paranormal TV shows. They just kind of piss me off.
That's two of us.
And then we have Ghost Nation. It's coming back. And it's got Jason Hawes, formerly of Ghost Hunters. But this time, wait, they get to the root of the problem and remove it. So the Travel Channel is coming out with Expedition Bigfoot. Expedition Bigfoot is coming out with all the data that different different researchers have come out with, and they're going to examine that research. What?
It's Travel Channel. They're just trying to get you to watch it. It's actually about the monster truck.
Right. And Trip, I agree. And Trip is in the chat room. He says he just looks for the screw-ups. Yeah, but you know what? How many groups are out there that actually base their education as a paranormal investigator team? I know of a few. I watched Ghost Adventures, so now I investigate because that makes me an investigator.
Yeah, but that happened with, what was it? Storage Wars. Do you know how many people flooded storage auctions after that show came on?
Yeah, but then it's those kind of teams that you get to clean up after if you have a valid team. Anyway, you know what? I want to check this one out. These woods are haunted. That one actually sounds kind of cool. So I am going to check that series out.
I wouldn't do that one Japanese forest.
Ooh, the suicide forest in Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm good without going there.
Yeah, that's one I'd stay away from. And, you know, how many people are going to go, oh, we got to go there because, we're stupid. Yeah. So this one's interesting. It's called Trending Fear. It has Paul Bradford, a paranormal investigator, on the show. And it's actually exploring people's nightmares or looking for a paranormal connection. That one I'll say is unique. That's a unique perspective. And then we have Ghost Loop. Ghost Loop is breaking paranormal cycles. And yeah. And of course you have Paranormal Caught on Camera. It starts January 1st. And it's got a, wait for it, panel of experts. Have you ever heard of an expert in the paranormal field, William?
No. It's an oxymoron.
We are a panel of enlightened minds. And I'm not going to tell you how I got that way. Because I will not incriminate myself.
So this is a panel of experts that they observe video capture of paranormal activity and pick it apart, decide if it's paranormal or not, look for things. Sounds interesting, but not one I'd watch. Ghost Adventures is coming back. Zach Baggins. It comes back January 2nd. And lastly, I didn't dig too deep, but lastly we got Kindred Spirits, which apparently is on their second, I believe they are on their second season, and it's got Chip Coffey. They go into America's darkest locations.
You know what? I don't mind if shows go into businesses or hotels or old hospitals or anything like that. I do have an issue with them going into people's houses. That should never be televised.
No.
You have a family that thinks they are haunted. Whether they are or not, they are traumatized. That is not fair to put them on TV. No matter what you pay them, it is not enough. It is not enough to actually contribute to that traumatization.
No, I fully agree. That's how you destroy people's lives. You know, I've personally seen it done with TV shows that came here locally. And so I firmly don't believe in TV shows, paranormal TV shows, going to people's homes. You want to check out public locations, hospitals, things like that, by all means, knock yourself out. But when you start bringing private citizens into it and giving them hope, when all you're doing is pulling the door with a string or kicking a rock or whatever and calling it paranormal, no, that's drawing the line. That's crossing the line. So, what are your personal predictions for 2020, William? We got about 15 minutes left, and we're going to talk about how to prepare for anything that's coming up in 2020, whether it's good or bad.
I'm going to come off as cynical. I think in the UFO field, nothing will change. Data will continue to not be shared. MUFON will still continue to kind of control the overall picture. The community will still be fractured and polarized. The TTSA, I don't know what's going to happen with that. It'll be interesting to see what goes on with that. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope the community kind of mends fences and tries to work together. I hope so. I think that happens with individuals. I don't know if groups will start to work together, but that would be a good thing. So, but we'll see. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. 2019 was kind of a flop, so maybe 2020 will be a little more productive in some way.
I would completely agree. 2019 started off with a bang. I was excited about 2019 because of all the UFO reports that were coming out. And you know, as the year progressed, that explosion fizzled to where, again, I don't see, you know, looking at reports, I don't see anything significant. I don't see it kicking off with a bang like I did in 2019. I think the whole focus is in the political battlefield. I think the paranormal's kind of gone to the wayside for the most part, and it's all bickering and complaining amongst the political battlefield. And I think it's going to stay that way in 2020 because we're on an election year. I think it's going to get worse.
Yeah, and to further that comment, I think when people discuss, when they have political conversations, which are usually not very cordial, that method of communication is kind of the way people communicate in the UFO field. It's kind of bled over into that. It's become par for the course to treat each other that way. So I think you're right. It's going to continue. Social media also doesn't help either, because people can sit behind a keyboard and make horrible statements about somebody that they wouldn't say to their face. It makes people very comfortable behind their keyboard.
They're keyboard warriors. You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They never say any of the half the comments they say to real humans, they would never say to their face. They're keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
They will not leave their computer or their tablet or their cell phone.
So would that change? I don't know. That's interesting. Yeah.
I'm the opposite way. I will honestly say more to a person's face than I will on a keyboard.
Huh?
I will say more to a person's face than I will on a keyboard.
Well, yeah, that's the point. They will badmouth you and threaten you behind this keyboard, whereas you will threaten them to their face.
Yeah, and I won't on a keyboard. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's there forever.
And even, and even with cordial interactions, it's so much easier to communicate face to face, or even on a phone during a phone call. So much is lost in translation when you text or email or message. It's so much better to talk than it is to type.
So when it comes to preparing for 2020, you've heard the predictions we've talked about. Are they going to happen? That's anyone's guess. I think my biggest worry, to be honest with you, would be if the earthquake happens. Does that mean you need to be afraid of it? No. Just one, situational awareness. Keep an eye on the news. If you're local, obviously we have community meetings once a month. We'll talk about earthquake preparedness. Having your emergency action plan in place for your family. Where do you go if something happens? Have your disaster kit ready to go if you need to. And that's not fear. That's called preparedness. That's the bottom line. If you're prepared for whatever happens coming into 2020, you will survive it.
Nah, I'm putting my head between my legs and kissing my ass goodbye.
No, you're just going to come down to the house and head up the mountain.
That's true.
Trip
did say on here.
Huh?
Trip said on here, the past 3 years just seemed like it's only been a year. Did either of you experience that? Like, not in that sense, but like, so when 2010 happened, it felt like nothing. Like it was just a switch, kind of, and it was just the next year. But like now that we're hitting 2020, it's the end of a decade, and it feels really weird.
It does, so 2010, I was medically retired from the Army. It almost seems like yesterday. 2012 is actually when we moved up here to concrete.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like a big switch, but like this one does. Like it's going to be a big difference, it feels like, in all aspects.
And I would agree. It seems like time is speeding up.
Yeah.
And now what do we have to look forward to? That's anyone's guess. Because do I just sit here and hold my breath on Nostradamus? Not really. Honestly, I look at the political picture. I look at the community picture. And that's what I base my predictions off of. Is anything significant to happen? Again, my biggest worry would be Cascadia subduction zone. But that's been a worry for years. Is it going to happen this year? Maybe. Is it going to happen? But, that's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's always been a matter of when it's going to happen. And every emergency management agency in the state has been preparing for this. The big shakedown. They always have drills. I haven't seen any real drills up here, upriver, up in eastern, Skagit County, but that might be something we want to look at.
I think this could be like the year, like, where it all starts. Like, me and Kayla saw something today that absolutely made us laugh. And it was Disney through the year 2100. And it was how Disney eventually took over the entire universe.
Oh, Demolition Man, where it's all Taco Bell.
No, like, so literally, they bought the United States.
Oh, okay.
And then they started annexing other countries until they started out as the Disney States of America, and then the Disney States of the world, and then the Disney States of the universe.
That's kind of scary.
But look at what they're all buying up.
Yeah.
They are kind of taking over the movie world.
Netflix. Well, and their own channel. Trippin is saying he thinks new fresh energy is coming, and that could be a possibility. It's hard to look at the positive when you see the negative every day.
This fresh energy feels colder. Well, I'm just saying.
Right. So, changes for Upriver. We are going to have community meetings once a month. We're going to get our CERT team going, the Community Emergency Response Team. We're going to work on enhancing neighborhood block watches to help law enforcement with our high crime areas. We're going to have a 1 to 2 acre garden. We have a new tax office coming into Concrete.
Run by a wonderful lady.
The master of taxes. And I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a huge asset to this community. Because there hasn't been one that I'm aware of ever. So look for that coming in probably the first week of January. I know we actually go look at the office space on Thursday of next week. And if everything goes smooth, we sign for it. We sign the lease, whatnot, and we move right in. Then we get the internet check-in.
I've heard rumor of a few other businesses maybe moving in. We'll see. We'll see. No, we bring them up, but we'll see. But also, Cedro just opened up their bowling alley as well.
Oh, okay. I got you.
They did their soft opening.
Cool. We'll have to go check out the bowling alley.
Yeah.
So, any last comments, William?
I think, when it comes to the paranormal, if we just apply ourselves in a little more professional way, if we try to, it sounds just very third gradish, but just try to do better. Try to look at the data in a more objective light. Really try to dig more, do more work harder, apply ourselves better. We may get somewhere. There's too many people in the field that don't work hard enough, and I'm not criticizing them. It's just constructive criticism. Right. I'm always looking at my own work, saying, okay, can I do more? How can I improve on my efforts? And if each one of us does that, we may get somewhere. But people get too passive. They get comfortable. They're trying to sell their book or go to a conference or do an interview, and they're really not looking at themselves in the mirror and saying, am I doing everything I can to investigate this? Am I leaving no stone unturned? I mean, I think if everybody would reassess their own efforts, I think that might be a good thing.
So on that, do you got any resolutions?
No, I don't do resolutions. Not at all. I take it day by day. Yeah. Yeah, I don't do resolutions now. No.
And, with that, though, I fully agree. And like you said in the beginning of the show, if we had more groups that actually came out and applied themselves and shared their findings with the public and with other groups, it would move the paranormal field in general forward. Whether you're after the spirit or after Bigfoot or after cryptids in general or after the UFOs and aliens. Dig more and actually use scientific theory and not just call it scientific theory when you're just using gadgets. That's another big one.
Well, and that's partly what a lot of the changes we're making to the show this year will be, is trying to better the community in itself and create a better understanding of what's out there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that, next week we will be talking about psychics and premonitions. And not for 2020, but psychics in general. How accurate can they be? Where do they, what are some of the techniques they use, and where does it come from? So that will be next week, next year. Yes, I said it. It is
Next
year.
decade. Next decade.
And we will be at the casino for New Year's Eve. Can't wait. It's going to be fun. So, thank you for listening.
Do you realize what that means? Hold on. Do you realize what that means?
What?
We were going to spend 2 decades in a casino.
We are. And I can't wait. And thank you for being with us, Trip. Always a pleasure to see you in our chat room. And Joe.
Thank
Joe
you,
was here for a
William.
while. PBR.
You're very welcome, gentlemen.
And yeah, again, thank you for being with us, William. We'll have you back on the show at the middle of the year and see how how 2020 is progressing. So
sounds like a plan.
Again, thank you for listening, everyone, and keep your eyes to the skies. And without you, there wouldn't be an S4. So you have a great night, and see you next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.